which interestingly describes what's about to happen here. Okay, we really are in the realm of content. YouTube videos. All documentation of life is interesting, and I love these up-close looks. That's why I don't get too mad at social media anymore, because I'm like, you're never gonna get everybody to all write books about themselves. However, your people kind of talk about themselves online. I have a lot of good social media memories. However, I do think the glory days of that world are behind it, and that money ruins everything. By the way, I am available to be ruined for money if anyone has a lot of it. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, anyway, I'm running out of sections to look at here. It's crazy. The whole idea of the channel, I'm looking at the different sections and describing it all. I do have half of the New Mexico section seen here. I have videos for all the books in the case on the left, but not for the case on the right. And I do think I'm going to look at these New Mexico books next. But don't run away, non-New Mexican people. We'll try to find something interesting there for you. But we probably won't. Just kidding. Yeah, we totally will. Sweet Pea has assured me with telepathic words of comfort. Daz has Squirrel. Daz has Prisma. Hodgepodging new books to add to the walls. You have to send some books to sleep with the fishes once in a while, because it's an example to the other books so they don't get out of line. I know if they were sentient and could move, they would all hurt me. I sense their violent possibilities. What was I talking about? Oh, look at the books. Let's look at some of these New Mexico books. One of those plants is not doing well, and sadly it's the symbolic one. Dang it. All right, we're looking at New Mexico books. In the Southwest. Why isn't this in Southwest books, Mike? Oh, there's some good stuff here. I'd probably watch videos for anyone's books from anywhere. I think local stuff is interesting, regional stuff. Yeah, I think this book looks really cool, but I do think if it's called In the Southwest, it should really be in the Southwest section. I found that bit of writing in an old notebook the other day that said, the real West is the Southwest, and the real Southwest is the Four Corners states. And I would say the heart of the Four Corners states is the Colorado Plateau. To me, that is like a distilled place of the wildest sort on the Rio Grande. Mark Simmons, cool guy, major New Mexico historian. New Mexico has a history in part because this guy wrote about it. He wrote one of my favorite books about Albuquerque that we'll encounter on this case, Albuquerque, A Narrative History. And I've met him a couple times. He's cool. He's no longer with us. This looks like a great topic. It looks like a very nice little neat, what do you call it, like a university press book. A professional historian, author, editor, and translator, Mark Simmons has published numerous books and monographs in the Southwest, as well as articles in more than 20 scholarly and popular journals. Wow. Occasionally a truly remarkable book appears. Okay, this sounds amazing. I've read this a long time ago. It feels crinkly, like it was water damaged or something. Oh well. This book has been on my to-read list forever. This giant book is all about the Rio Grande, the river that flows through Albuquerque. And it is like the fourth largest river in the world, and it's amazing, longest. And have I not been filming? I really thought I was filming. Was I not filming that part? Did I say that in the desert rivers have special value? And so the Rio Grande is real special. I want to read this book. I started reading this book once. I will try it again sometime. I learned a lot just from the 50 pages or so I read. I'll try again, giant book, I promise. Winner of the Bancroft and Pulitzer Prize in History. I want to win stuff like that. That sounds awesome. I think my book I've been working on now could be a contender. Funny, when I first got this, I thought, I'll give this to my friend Ty. And then I thought, my precious. I wanted to keep it for myself. All right, Ty. Reminiscences of 12 Nuclear Pioneers. Okay, this one's special to me because I'm in it. And this book has a chapter on Juan de Santa Maria, this priest on the 1581 Chamuscado Rodriguez expedition. Why is he talking about that? Oh, interesting. Huh. La la la. And then check it out. Fray Juan's career in the priesthood was short, and although his career in New Mexico was even shorter, he might have left one permanent mark on the state. In 2010, is that really when that was? Historian and author Mike Smith was exploring on San Felipe Pueblo land and discovered a signature and 3 Spanish crosses carved in the rock. apparently by Fray Juan de Santa Maria. Fray Juan would have passed through the area with the rest of the group shortly before he separated from them forever. Perhaps he had already decided to hasten his martyrdom by leaving the party and wanted to make sure everyone forever would know that he traveled to this wilderness for his faith. Ironically, it could have been the act itself to convince the watchful natives that he was a witch. Ritually creating glyphs was an act of power. Forgotten Tales, New Mexico by Alan Dornan. Cool. Yeah, that was like the coolest thing. I found this old inscription from 1581. I thought I was on BLM land, but when we ran it through the Department of Contract Archaeology, they found the GPS points to be like 30 yards over on San Felipe Pueblo land, and the tribe immediately locked it down, even though everybody else was like wanting to do archaeological studies of it. Like this company donated an $8,000 3D laser scan that would have created a 3D model of it all. And that would have been great because parts of it were really, really faint and hard to see. Like I'm pretty sure one of the crosses said Año on it. So maybe the year is there even. I didn't really see the best details until I got home and turned it all black and white and compare and contrast in digital images on my computer. Then these elements started to pop. I'm like, Juan de Santa Maria, look, there's a name. It was the front page story on the Albuquerque Journal, the hole above the line. It was amazing. But then because of the tribe being uncooperative, it never got examined, whatever. They didn't like that the journal story ran before it was all cleared with them. But I did that. I went to the journal on the advice of the Center for Southwest Research that said, you need to get this into a paper of record now. This is going to be a major claim. This is going to be the oldest known European inscription. This is older, if it's from 1581, than the 1605 Oñate inscription at El Morro. And that's previously thought to be the oldest European one in the country. Kind of weird how, am I like a Forrest Gump-like figure that gets tied up in these big stories sometimes? Maybe. This one is cool because it's a guide to Route 66, but it's a facsimile of one that actually was a guide to it from back in the day. Merry Christmas, Mama. Love, Kay, 1997. This is real America, but I have more than New Mexico. However, first popular national road, paved and lined with services, used the main streets of all these interesting towns it went through. Was a victim of its own popularity and was replaced by the freeways. Facsimile of the 1946 first edition. Cool. I'm sure this mentions Albuquerque and the surrounding area, and that's why I have this. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, that's crazy. 3 miles farther at 277 miles, 27 miles, is Barton, which consists of a gas station, grocery, and a few cabins. Barton now is ruins, 100% ruins. There's an old windmill fallen apart, spray painted. It's barely there anymore now. Some of those buildings. There's a bean farming area to that area. West of Barton. Wow. What's crazy is Edgewood, which is a really thriving town, at one point was called New Barton. So Barton was like the place, bigger than Edgewood. And Edgewood got a Walmart. Book by the great Bob Julian, and a book to help you access amazing areas. I love the wilderness. I love the outdoors. I love nature. That wilderness camp job I worked last summer, I got to do that again next summer. I got to do it. That fed my soul. Amazing. Oh, yeah, that's a cool place. The Bista Badlands. That's the area of this old timer, when I asked him what it was like before I'd gone there, he was all, it's just rough ground. This is awesome. New Mexico has 2 place names books. And there's some other kind of interesting, relevant ones that mostly repeat information. But the 2 major ones, this was the main one for a long time. And then Bob Julian wrote the other one, New Mexico Place Names. No, or Place Names in New Mexico. But this is cool too, and has some information in it that Bob doesn't have. There's a town in New Mexico called Guam in McKinley County. Huh. I remember sitting in the Guam airport looking at the dingy yellow ceiling for a long time. My brother lived in Saipan and I was going to visit him. Chloride. I wrote an article about this town, crazy mining town, middle of nowhere. I don't actually think I've been there. Or I went by later after I wrote about it. But they had a female prophetess that predicted the whole town would be destroyed in a flood. It wasn't. Maybe it was. I can't remember. Okay. So I have this because it has so much about the Placitas communes at the north end of the Sandias, just east of Albuquerque. An area and I love and have written about a lot, and it's very interesting. Some famous murders, etc. Communal experience, anarchist and mystical communities in 20th century America. Yeah, this is one of the canon Placitas commune books. I'm sure there's some stuff in here. Cool. A lot of anarchist friends. I like the spirit, but I'm like, then what? What do you do when you have a lot of people? What do you do when someone wants to pollute the river? What about the elderly and the infirm? If we have mutual aid societies, isn't that like a society for me? But I do love that book, Josiah Warren, First American Anarchist. Very interesting. This is a great book. Robert Julian and Mary Stuber. Somehow I've never met her that I know of. Maybe I saw her at something, but this is a must-have. And I believe my dad's playground company was one of the sponsors of this book and helped make it happen. I swear I saw an edition that had extra play on it. Yikes, Lockheed Martin. Okay. We'll look away from... Oh yeah, there it is. My dad's company was a Ponderosa level down there. Not quite up there with Lockheed Martin. Yikes. Okay, I didn't know this book was sponsored by Lockheed Martin. Well, you go on, take the money and run, as they sing. But I would not perform at the Riyadh Comedy Festival. Come on. But books like this are amazing. And this book is a necessary thing to have. If you love the Sandia Mountains, which they're quite popular. They have millions of visitors a year. That's crazy. They really still have amazing wild areas. Not the biggest mountain range, but really just incredible. If you fall in love with these mountains, you'll always love them. My book is about the Sandias as well. I consider my book, this book, and Mike Coltrin's Sandia Mountain Hiking Guide to be a sort of useful trilogy. If you wanted to have 3 books about the Sandias that kind of told you what was up. I sound croaky and tired. I think I'm dehydrated. I need to drink more water. Okay, Albuquerque to the Arizona border. A Wanderer's Guide to New Mexico, Volume 2. Okay, Route 66 Revisited. Yeah, I know this has some passages on some of those little towns and roadside stops and things. The history of a place is like so many minor things. I remember once there's a traffic light in Tijeras, New Mexico, and I interviewed this guy, Major Luna, and a couple of other people about a restaurant that used to be right there back in the day. And they said it wasn't a very popular place because the owner always watched you eat and he really wanted you to like the food. And he was just watching your every bite the whole time. And he'd give you advice like, why don't you put a little bit of gravy on there? Why not? And I put that quote in my book. It's like somehow that's history. Just a weird shopkeeper, restaurant guy staring at a customer, giving gravy advice. And books like this capture good ephemeral history, the stuff that makes up all the weirdness of all of it. He's on the way, but he stole it. Maybe he found it. I remember this had a passage about this really butch hotel owner at the Mountain Valley Inn near Cornwall, who was so tough she would walk into the mountains and shoot a deer and then carry it back over her shoulders. I was like, what? This also has information, I think, on Carl Webb of Cedar Crest and what he did after founding the town of Cedar Crest. Having a trading store in Cornwall. Okay, this is a huge regional historic story, modern day historic story. I think from the 70s, is it 1967? Yeah, in June of 1967, a group of militant Chicanos, organized and led by Reyes Lopez Tijerina, seized the courthouse at Tierra Amarilla, New Mexico, held it for 2 hours, and then escaped with a deputy sheriff and a newsman as hostages. This was the beginning of a complex and exciting story involving the Alianza, the land of the Southwest, and the growth of the Chicano resistance. Instant history at its best. Casey McWilliams. His accounts make most courtroom novels seem pale stuff. His first major book about Tijerina is engrossing as well as importantly controversial. Oh, Peter Nabokov, he has a recent memoirish book out. A superb account of little known but immensely interesting and important events. Yeah, sounds like it. I took a vacation up to northern New Mexico with 3 of my kids shortly after my 4th was born. And we hiked along the Chama River on the Continental Divide Trail and played in these amazing meadows. I have this great picture of my kids. It's titled Fairies Approaching a Bowerbird because Hagen is in this little bower of grass tied together, my son when he's really little, and the girls are approaching it tentatively, playing some imaginative game. It was so beautiful up there. It was amazing. But there were so many old buildings here and there in these various towns that still had political slogans from all of this. And I've talked to many people that were involved in this. Anyone that lives around Chillicothe, in the Manzano Mountains was involved in something connected to this. I think that's a big part of this story. It's crazy. The world is just made of stories. There's so much going on all the time. I'm sure whatever state you all live in has its obscure, or country, really interesting little political stories that are not little, and they have wide-reaching effects, and they're dramatic. Spent so much of my life driving La Madera Road. Love that road. Ghost Town Line Dirt Road at the north end of the Sandias. It's become much less accessible. But La Madera Ski Resort was off of that. Now it's Sandia Peak Ski Resort, or near it anyway. Both road and ski resort named after this little community, La Madera, the woods, a woodcutting town up there. We'll get to a book here that collects all the WPA folklore of that town by Lou Sage Batch, and it's awesome. But this is neat to have. There's a couple of books about the ski resort up there. One that I feel bad, I gave a really negative online review to it once. I'm like, that's not how you review local history books. I realize in hindsight, like, they're providing a resource. They don't have to be Anna Karenina, you know. But I grabbed this one from this crazy bookstore near UNM that's just like a crowded space. I mean, I guess it is wild. The first skier in the mountains was Charlotte Ellis, who had her brothers make her a pair in the 1890s. Surprised there's not a picture of her in there. Or many plant species named after her, because she was also a botanist. Anyway, yeah, even boring, dumb histories are interesting, right? JK. It's not boring or dumb. It's cool. I love local history. Local history is like kind of amazing. You know, I wrote a series of 4 newsletters about my neighborhood that I lived in when I wrote it. That was just a street of 14 houses. That was the target audience of it. And I researched so much history and found all these historic images, and found out about this crazy flood that had happened in like 83, 88, something like that. You know, if you ever see those plaques sold at gas stations, on this year in 1890, nothing happened. Yeah, right. Something's always happened everywhere. And even if it's only the wind in the trees, you know, I don't know. People walk through their lives with their eyes closed. It's crazy. I see so much the average person doesn't see, and my daughter Sonora sees so much I don't see. So I guess there's a bunch of levels. You can be observant, you know. I recommend reading Tom Brown's Guide to Nature Observation and Tracking. That really is a good handbook on how to see more. It's changing your mentality, you know. Like, shoot, I think I keep filming when I think I'm not filming. That about. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of people are really unobservant. Working in a front desk job for a long time, it's amazing what's just like going on at all times. And most people aren't aware of more than one thing. So I have this because I used to live near Shalem Colony in Las Cruces, which was an old utopian commune in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And they still have modern day members that totally believe it. And I've met some of them. And, oh, look, that's also a book on Shalem Colony. Yeah, I'm very interested in Shalem. Shalem is so interesting. And this was given to me at a book fair by a modern day Shalem acolyte that does believe it. The Most Owaspe, that's their holy book, written supposedly while the guy typed while angels possessed him. The most mysterious book ever produced in America? It's anti-vax, I'm sad to say. Ingenious, a hoax, a Bible. Did it really surpass the imaginings of Jules Verne introducing the word starship into our language? What about its Vortexian physics? In a workshop class, we'll explore the epic Owaspe, the book that inspired the historical Shalem Colony north of Las Cruces. Join us as we help unveil this book's many mysteries. Oh, I should frame this. I kind of want to frame this. This is amazing. Yeah, Shalem, Utopia on the Rio Grande. Owaspe, a new Bible inside the Shalem Colony. Oh, wow. I used to have this column called My Strange New Mexico, and I wrote, I think, a couple on Owaspe. And I remember it was a story that had legs. People liked reading about it. Well, Witchcraft in the Southwest, you know what? Despite you being by Mark Simmons, a New Mexico author, I'm moving you to the Southwest section. And I do want to frame this just because it's so strange. I have a few weird things like this in my collection. Some of it's in boxes. I want to go through those boxes sometimes too. Like, I have a business card from Heaven's Gate from way before the suicides that they left on my dad's car in Salt Lake City, Utah. They had some presents there. I don't know. Just added my introduction to my book, to the big folder of PDFs that I have, like 40 PDFs. I have the chapters, the interstitials that start each section, and, you know, some stuff up front. Only thing I have to write to finish book 1 of 2 is I have to finish the chapter, The Endless Winter, but it involves doing 7 interviews. So that's intensive, but I can do it. Halfway done. I've got to write the afterword, which I've started. I'm sure I'll polish the intro a little more. I'm going to give it to my writing group, for instance. I'll do a video just on that table of contents, because it's really fun to work on a book and work on your table of contents and see the skeleton of your work and use it as like a waypoint. These are going to be good. Love that title. This copy has historic meaning to me. I like its imperfections. That tape, that's great. And I just like for the title, and I suppose the whole kitsch aesthetic. This I love everything about. Strange Companion. Feel bad some of these books are ones I didn't read and I just dipped them in glue, killed them. Come on, I'm not gonna read that. Or that. Evil what I did, honestly. I bet there'll be a person or two that unfollows. Maybe I deserve it. This one I have a bunch of copies of, and it was really falling apart. That's a very good book, and I've actually read it. I've read that one too. All right, Squirrel. Well, I know you keep telling me that vote makes me a sucker for the man, but I disagree. Frankly, I don't think that attitude is very civically responsible. Check yourself. Did you know Squirrel is anti-voting? I just raised these cats. I didn't create their personalities. All right, Prisma. I don't know. I guess I don't understand being anti-voting, because it's like, well, you're just completely protesting the whole system, though, then. That means you're just like letting anyone else choose whatever happens. I think even if you read like the writings of Lenin, he was like, use the levers of power in whatever capacity you can, you know? Lenin was a refiner of communist thought after Marx. A lot of people quote him as like their favorite go-to guy. I don't know if he was a good person. I gotta do some research. I would say, unless I'm on trial for something, sure, I'm a communist sympathizer. Why not? Yeah, we should figure out a better way. This way is dumb. Just a lot of people have nothing. Some people have so much it's obscene. They control everything. Dumb system, you know? Let's figure it out with reform, you know, so everyone can be happy. Democratic socialism or something. I sound ignorant and horrifying to my totally communist friends, but put backs on those so I can put them up. Try them. I think I'm out of Mod Podge, so that's that. All right. Well, lucky you. We'll look at some more New Mexico books next time. I think New Mexico is a fascinating topic, and I think it's a microcosm of so much. And this is a greatly minimized collection. In my previous abode, I had a tall bookcase that just had books about Albuquerque. I got rid of lots and lots of stuff. It was painful. But I'll tell you a secret about these bookcases. That one shelf down there is bricks. Those aren't even books. I'm a fraud. He just puts bricks on his shelf, so it looks like he has books, maybe. I'm saying, Squirrel, if you're so frustrated about things, why don't you like run for office or something? Well, look at some more books later. And hi, sweet pea. Don't forget that today I got the house all cleaned up because my daughter Sonora was coming over. She came over for like 5 minutes. It was like that scene in Monty Python's Search for the Meaning of Life, where the kids show up for a holiday and just eat the food and then leave right away. Oh well. No, she was with a friend and they were going to go do something fun, like get nails painted. Well, that video really was what I promised, right? A voyage into great entertainment. Reading is great entertainment. I don't know about hearing some guy talk about books, but sure, why not? Real shut-ins, that's my audience. People that just need to hear a voice. Hey, y'all. And I did that 7-month canoe trip around Lake Powell. That paddle didn't look like that at the time. My daughter painted that. But I just followed the whole shoreline, circumnavigated it. Just happened. Oh, I would sometimes listen to the radio before I got rid of my radio. It was just like it was like a human need or something to hear people talk, and it was kind of weird. Listened to a lot of Phil Hendry. Like I could hear shows from LA and Nebraska because AM at night has such wide range. So I guess we're looking at New Mexico books. How else can I brand them in these videos so that it doesn't totally kill my channel again like it does every time I look at one of the niche subjects? Try making feeble jokes. Okay, all right, take care, y'all. Thanks for looking at these New Mexico books with me. And remember, if you donate to the channel, you get mentioned in my book, and I'll send you a book from the collection. It's at Michael Farrell Smith on PayPal. Just check the channels about. Remember, it all goes to Prismo. I just buy her wet food, and the others are kept in a clear box where they can watch. It's like an experiment. JK, that'd be messed up. Ugh, I have to take my car to a second shop tomorrow. Hopefully I can get it paid for. And until I have it, I really can't work the job I've been working. Just scramble and knock out some articles real quick. And I hope the shop doesn't take too long in the vehicle. If y'all have any millionaires or billionaires in your life, send them the channel, show them the channel. Tell them to get in early on the ground floor. Invest in this aspiring author who's got this weird channel. This book is going to do something for me. I can feel it. You know, even if it only gets a small following. Like I remember going to an Augustin Burroughs reading one time when I worked at Bookworks and seeing his following and just feeling like I could find my own people that get what I'm doing, you know? I think I will. There's a comment online from somebody who said on one of my essays on the Unoya Review, I come back to this every couple of years to reread it. I'm like, that's awesome. And the young woman who worked the front desk at this apartment complex I used to live at, La Vida Buena, she had a copy of an essay I wrote that was published in a literary journal. She was there when I opened my box of them when I got them, Florida Review. And she told me that she just reread my essay in here over and over again, and she couldn't believe how much she connected with it, and that she also had a sister named Leanne that died, and I'm like, what? A weird true story from my life. Yeah, anyway. All right, peace out, folks. More New Mexico books next time. You know, if you're not from here, just think about them in relation to wherever you are from, you know? As Nietzsche said, when an intelligent person learns a new idea, it immediately takes its place as a link in a chain. As William Blake said, you know, the goal should be to see eternity in a grain of sand and infinity in a moment, or something like that. To see the big and the small. Ridley Walker so beautifully points out in this post-apocalyptic story. Love it. The one little one becomes the one big one. When his culture rediscovers gunpowder, he knows it's going to lead to the same kind of destruction that ended the world before. That they see all these evidences of. One of the best books. Love it. Ridley Walker. Watch Mad Max 3 for a taste of Ridley Walker. The kids talk in a dialect similar to these books. Okay, I'm realizing something looking at the next book I'm going to be looking at. I think I just want to look at it now because this should be in the novel section. Yeah, it's so New Mexico. It has a ZL on the front of it, and it's set in Albuquerque, but I loved this book. I was so into this. It's kind of that sort of disturbing modern sort of book, like, you know, Chuck Palahniuk fans like, but it's got a really philosophical voice and is really interesting. It's kind of about these two horrible friends that work at a west side of Albuquerque. I forget what they do. I think it's like a home care thing. And they have this contest to be worse than the other person. And I remember it being really gripping and dynamic, and I think I'm going to put this in novels so that I'll read it. Stephen Usherman and I were pretty good friends, and just lost track of each other. I should hit that guy up sometime. I mean, we were good enough friends that I did so many of the hikes in this book with him. And look, that's me on the front of this first edition of this book. It's a guidebook he also wrote. We'll look at that later. But this one's going to the novels. Typical Pigs is good. I recommend it. If you're a fan of, like, I don't know, edgy, kind of Gen X, lit fic stuff from the 90s and 2000s. But also just if you like good fiction that doesn't pull its punches. Next, we'll probably look at these. I think I'll do a separate video for the Images of America series. Put that there for now. Yeah. I'm telling you, a hack for making your bookcases look very cool and neat, I think. Pull them to the front and don't stack them on top. If they're too full, stack them on the bottom. Like pretty tight, but loose to pull out. It won't get damaged, and it won't be a struggle. Page 1, you're overpacking your shelves lately. It happens, but I've applied there a couple times. They never hired me. I'll try again. Maybe I could use this channel. Yeah, I must really love books. All right, everybody. Take care. One time I was subbing at a high school, a richer school, La Cueva, still a public school. And a student said, I think all of New Mexico should just be turned into like a military test site. This place sucks. I disagree.